It's almost like we're landing in a foreign planet when we end up in a relationship, and then one of us has to open our mask first and kind of be vulnerable and let the other in say, hey, look, we're okay. You can breathe the air. This is safe here. So whoever can make that first vulnerable move to say, oh, I see you're hurt. I mean, either whoever can make that move is the one who needs to make that move.
Connecting couples with the real Imhoffs.
Hi, I'm Chad Imhoff.
And I'm Angela Imhoff, and we're the real Imhoffs.
We're excited to be here with you. You know, we're on our 4th episode in this series of the anatomy of a repair. And we started kind of talking about like, what is an injury? What is that? What are we even talking about? And so injuries are things that have hurt us, that kind of damage our relationship or make us believe bad things about each other.
Our last episode was why I'm sorry isn't good enough. So many times when a couple gets in a fight, one person says, I'm sorry, and just kind of leaves it at that. And it doesn't really speak to the pain that's there or kind of clean up the residue that might still be there around the meaning that fight caused.
Yeah, and the one in the middle of those two, number 2, was the what is a good repair?
Yeah.
What is the repair that we're how does this look if we get it right? And we talked through that just a little bit and kind of showed some differences between major and minor and that sort of stuff. But this time, we're going to talk a little bit about whose job is it to fix this thing? Like, whose responsibility is it anyway?
We asked this question, I think, in all of our series.
Yeah.
In the basics we did, and the staying tuned in, whose responsibility is it to fix the fight or to do the repair? And our answer is always the same, and it's going to remain the same. Whoever can, right? If you are the one who can see what's going wrong, then you're the one who has the opportunity to make what's going wrong right again. And that's really what we want to kind of help you do.
As we get into relationship, man, it's so important that we don't just see this relationship as a place where we find comfort, right? We don't want to just, it is a comforting place, but it's also a place where we grow and we get stronger and we challenge each other. And to do that, we have to be available for each other. We have to be able to kind of like come to the table and show up in loving and kind ways.
Even two people who love each other, are really healthy, are have started the relationship, it's going really, really well. Even those two people are at some point going to have differing ideas, different agendas, different feelings, different, triggers, different trauma, history, past experiences. And when those differences rub up against each other, we're going to have conflict. Yeah. And so everybody brings something to the table that's a little bit deeper than just
we all have wounds. We all have wounds. And we come to this relationship with wounds quite often, whether it's from childhood or whether it's from other relationships or whether you've been married before. All kinds of things can factor into this. But we come to this relationship with wounds. And in fact, relationships sometimes cause wounds that we've got to deal with internally. But what I would suggest is that it's actually our gift that we can give each other, right? We can have this opportunity to show up for each other around this woundedness and care for each other. I get the opportunity, I get the chance to engage with Angela's wounds in a way that maybe nobody ever has. Yeah. She has these tendencies as a pursuer for good reasons. In her life, she has been taught some things about her. Yeah. The world has taught her that, her family has taught her that, experience has taught her that. And for good reasons. Again, I'm not trying to knock her family or the people she's been around. Sure. I'm saying she found ways to adapt, to survive. And I get to speak into these lies or these messages that she's held on to for a long time. And so I get to show up with grace and with love and to nurture her in places where she's never been nurtured. I get to give her the grace and love that's been given to me and get to help her kind of grow into a new thing, a new being.
The same on the flip side of that. Chad has come to the table or come to this relationship with the strategy that if he just puts his head down, does the work, doesn't bring his pain forward and just gets and pushes on through it, that's what's best for him. That's what's the most beneficial for him. But then in that space, he never gets his pain responded to. He never has somebody who says, hey, you're worth it. For me as a pursuer to try to make myself an emotionally safe enough person to not criticize, to not attack, not control, but to just slow down, to hear his pain and then respond to it. That's an opportunity that I have to let him know that he's worth it too, that he can bring this pain forward. And so we have this great opportunity in our relationship to say, hey, your woundedness that you come to the table with, or my woundedness that I come to the table with, when we get in close space with each other, we're going to trigger some pain, some stuff maybe we thought we had resolved, stuff that we didn't even know was still there. We get together and some stuff is going to come up for our partner. And in that moment, it's like a Y in the road. You know, you could either go, well, that's your stuff, deal with it. Or, well, I'm here, I care about you, how can I help you?
Right.
And I think that's the direction we want to go.
These injuries, and again, these kind of places where we've been hurt, they are the place that kind of defines a relationship.
Yeah.
If we can repair, if we can nurture our bond in moments of distress, man, you're bulletproof.
Yeah.
Like you can really get through the toughest of times. And so that ability to show up for each other, that ability to love each other in moments when we hurt is the thing that we're trying to talk about.
Yeah.
That's what this series is about. We're going to rub and it's going to hurt and it's going to cause us to maybe go back and believe bad things about ourselves, about each other, and we will get defensive around these things. But in that moment, whoever can recognize that it's happening, whoever can kind of say, I see that this is more than just
the content.
Yeah, it's not about the dish, the plate, the sock on the couch, whatever the thing. It's not about
the money,
this thing.
the in-laws. There's a deeper.
If I can see, oh, whoa, something really bad is happening for my wife. If I can notice that and I can stay tuned in and really go, hey, I want to show up for her.
Yeah.
I get an opportunity to speak into identity that is, I think, in our soul. It's a deep place that's hurt. And so if we can stay present with that, if we can slow down and we can kind of say, hey, I know that you're hurt and I know that you're angry. I know that you're a lot's going on for you right now, but I want to know you. I want to see you. I value that piece of you that's hurt and stay with it. That changes what they believe about themselves. We get to speak into identity, which then solidifies and secures our bond. It makes us different people in relationship.
I want to speak to why these repairs, apologies, sorries are so hard is because there is an implication behind that there's blame, that somebody did something hurtful.
Yeah.
And so many times in relationship, we don't maliciously set out to hurt our partner, but we still do hurt our partner. And so that's where it can kind of get messy, is to say, it's not my fault you got hurt. Your wounds or character flaws or insecurities that you brought into the relationship caused you to get hurt. Not me. I'm a good person and I didn't mean to hurt you. And that's what Chad is really saying here, is that it's both and. It's that my insecurities rubbed up against a move that you do that you might not even know that you do is what brings to the surface pain, deep-seated pain in my heart, deep-seated pain in my identity, my character. And now, because the closer we get, the more these things start surfacing, the more we have an opportunity as that partner to say, wait a minute, I see that. I'm close enough to you. I mean, this is why we do these protective moves in bigger circles, at work, in our friend circles, in our community, and why your partner knows you more than anybody else knows you, because they see you in these more intimate spaces. And the closer you get, the more they see, and the more they see, the closer you get. And so to say, hey, here we are just doing a thing, and all of a sudden that dish that you left on the counter when I've cleaned the whole kitchen speaks something to my meaning, Chad could go, golly, it's just a dish. I mean, get over it, or have a little bit more confidence, or what, that I appreciate you. Or it could get defensive, is what he's saying there, that defensiveness that comes up. Or he could go, man, something's going on for my wife here because it's just a dish, but it's clearly hurting her. And now I have an opportunity to really respond to her heart in a way that helps us have a bond.
It is tough, Angela, not to get defensive.
Yeah, because it feels like an attack.
Well, and truthfully, I mean, the attack is defensive.
Yeah.
Like even that initial, oh, you left the dish, is really you protecting this part of you.
You
that
just
hurts.
got it wrong. It's
Well, and that's what pursuers do, and it's not a problem. But it's you basically saying, I'm not going to talk about, I don't feel valued or important right now, and you leave it. You're going to talk about, oh, you left the dish, and that's bad. It's like, no, that's just your defensive move.
Yeah.
Well, your defensive move is critical.
Yeah.
Which looks like an attack.
Yeah.
Right. Which then what do I do if I'm not really kind of tuned in? I'll get defensive and be like, oh my gosh. Like I could think of 10 reasons or bad things I could say right now. I don't like to say those things. So I'm like, what is wrong with her in some way, right? Like I have to do something with it. And so then I'm like, well, maybe it's me. Maybe I should be better at that. Well,
Yeah.
then I start to defend myself in my head, and then I can't help but believe bad things about you, which that runs us down a road. So it makes sense that we're defensive. And this is why I got to that thought. In bigger circles at work, right? Or at some works anyway, I feel pretty safe at my work, but at some workplaces, it feels like, man, I've got to look away. I've got to be away. I've got to act away. I've got to have it together. And maybe that's true for you. That's okay too. Like if we have to go into the world, there's a reason we sometimes, a fireman puts on a coat and pants and hat and oxygen because he's going into a place that's dangerous.
Yeah.
He protects himself. And I think of those critical moves, or I think of that shutdown kind of cognitive moves that withdrawers sometimes do. Those are protective moves. That's the gear that we put on to go face the world.
Yeah.
And in this relationship, we've got to find ways, and whoever can do it, we've got to find ways to kind of take off the gear. It's like, it's almost like we're landing in a foreign planet when we end up in a relationship. And then one of us has to open our mask first and kind of be vulnerable and let the other in and say, hey, look, that we're okay. You can breathe the air. This is safe here. This is a safe place. And now it may not be in your relationship right now, but we can show each other, we can give each other an experience of hey, we can breathe in this. We can show ourselves to one another in these places. So whoever can make that first vulnerable move to say, oh, I see you're hurt, or oh my gosh, this speaks to me in this way. I mean, either whoever can make that move is the one who needs to make that move.
I want to talk for a second too about the fact that it seems like pursuers are always the bad guys in the relationship because the pursuer energy is more visible.
Yeah.
But the reality is that there are things like if we leave the dish, the pursuer's the one that's going, I can't believe you left the dish. So that's a
they show it.
Pursuer-initiated conflict or something like that, even though the withdrawer is the one that left the dish, the pursuer is the one that brings it forward. But there are withdrawer-initiated, I want to say, rifts or sideways things, because let's say a withdrawer is disengaged and is really going through something hard and chooses, because they already believe, oh, my partner's distracted or isn't going to care or isn't going to be able to respond. And so maybe they have a hard thing going on at work and they come home and they don't share it and they don't bring it up. And there's this distance between the couple.
Yeah.
Similar things going on internally to the withdrawer that are going, like if I see a dish and go, really, I can't, you're not even on my team. A withdrawer can walk in the door and the pursuer can just start talking about nothing that's a fight, and the withdrawer can go, this pursuer is just going to talk about themselves and doesn't care about me and it's not safe, or can believe things where they don't bring stuff forward as well. Right. And so really we're talking about being able to, like Chad is saying, if you're on a foreign planet and you open your oxygen mask or you open your, the thing, that is a vulnerable step for a withdrawer to say, hey, I know you have a lot to talk about, or I know you have energy, but I need to bring something forward to you that is hurting my heart, and I want you to be able to respond to it. Yeah. Something like that, or even to be able to say, I believe about you that you're not really going to take the time to respond to my pain. That doesn't feel like a withdrawer move because that's kind of critical, but there might be a belief there that a withdrawer has that is holding them back from bringing that pain forward, and that's really what we're talking about. In these repairs, we're repairing wounds that aren't even necessarily caused by the relationship, but also wounds that are reinforced by the relationship, wounds that are caused in the relationship, all the things. If there is pain that you have, now there's interaction around that pain. What you do with it, your ability to bring it forward to your partner, how your partner responds to it, and that's really what we want to unpack. So if we come back to whose responsibility is it to do a repair, let's kind of really specifically bring it down to a little rift that we see.
Okay.
If it's a little riff, then whose responsibility is it to catch the cycle? Whoever can.
Yeah.
If you're the withdrawer and you can recognize, oh, something's going on for my partner, my pursuer partner, you can sometimes say, I see something's happening for you. Or, I'm sorry, I recognize that I withdrew. I'm here for you. Or the pursuer side of that is, I recognize I was just critical, or I recognize that I just implied to you that you're getting it wrong, and this is really what's happening for me. And then you can do like we kind of talked about in the last episode, a quick, I'm sorry for the part I played in it. That's really a quick repair.
Yeah.
But Chad kind of pointed out when we were putting this together that it would be ideal for the offending partner to recognize this is the thing I did and then come forward with that.
Yeah.
But sometimes the offending partner doesn't even know that they have offended.
Yeah.
And so it would be equally important if the offended partner can bring their pain forward.
Yeah. I know.
winced a little bit.
No, I'm wincing because I'm like, this stuff is. It's why this topic, right?
It's
why.
hard.
Like, whose responsibility is it?
Yeah.
It gets so convoluted.
Yeah.
Because it comes down to like, well, it's someone's responsibility to make the move, right? Because you did the thing. Well, if you didn't know you did the thing, you can't really say that. And then we could have a fight about the fight. Yeah. Like, it can really get nasty. So it would be nice if I recognized, oh my goodness, I did that thing, and I bet that offended you.
And you made a point that I think is so important for us to bring into this, which is that so often we don't recognize how much pain we've caused our partner.
Yeah.
So many times, and kudos to all the relationships out there, that you do give your partner the benefit of the doubt. And you're like, man, I'm not going to bring that up because I know they care about me and I can handle this.
Yeah.
We do that a lot of the times. But wouldn't it
Both
be
pursuers and withdrawers?
Yeah. But wouldn't it be great if we could bring forward some of the times when it was painful, knowing that there would be a good interaction? Yeah. The more we do repairs, the more our bodies will trust entering into the land of repairing.
Can I do what we call slice it thinner with that?
Yeah,
like,
please.
Like saying something like, "Hey, this is scary for me. I'm gonna talk to you about something that I'm pretty sure you might not understand."
Yeah.
Right. Like I'm gonna try to do this thing that Chad and Angela were talking about, or I'm gonna try to do this thing if it's just me, right? I'm gonna try to tell you about something that was hard for me today, and I just need to be understood.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to see if you can get this. And so this is hard for me to even talk about it. But this is me trying to be, that is vulnerability, by the way.
It sure is.
Just even saying I'm scared, or this is hard, or this is difficult. That is the beginning of a good repair.
Yeah.
Right. And so if I'm a withdrawer, which I am most of the time, especially in this relationship, like, if I'm a withdrawer, then I have to be able to go, how will I let her know that something hurts? If I don't let her know that something hurts, we can end up with decades of pain.
Yeah.
And that is really, really hard to fix if you get 20 years down the road, right? Then we're repairing for stuff that we can't even remember.
I want to say, too, that pursuers so often say, well, I just want my withdrawer to talk more. I just want them to tell me what's going on for them. I just want to know what they're thinking. And I want to say, be careful what you ask for, because we do want to engage withdrawers, and there's a deep longing that we have to know, but also as they bring their pain forward, it's like holding a mirror up to the fact that we're hard to talk to sometimes, or we're maybe not good listeners.
I was just thinking of, like,
we go to fixing, or we go to criticizing, or,
It's like if I come to you and I'm a bad example, which I know we're almost out of time too, but like a bad example is like I come to you and say, oh, I'm hurting because, maybe this thing isn't going well in this place at work or something. Like it seems like this isn't. And then like you go, well, I'll take up that banner of offense and I'll go deal with that thing, and I'm going to fight for you in this way, and I'm going to do that.
Or I'll respond and say, let me tell you how you should do that.
Well, you should
go
lose some
back
weight,
and do
and
this.
you should work out, and you should be more articulate.
Yes.
And maybe if you would write it down, and if you would show up on time, well, oh my gosh, now you're just telling me that I am the problem. I'm or if you say, oh, my boss, he doesn't seem to want to talk to me. Well, I'm like, well, if you'd talk less, if you would make your points more clear, like, that's not help. Or if you're offended by somebody at work and I say, oh, I'm going to go kick their ass or something. Like, sometimes people say stuff like that. I know that ass might be a bad word. I apologize. But I'm like, I'm going to go do something about it. Like, that won't help, because that tells you not to bring hard stuff to me.
Yeah.
Or it tells me if I'm bringing something hard, like, don't take it to her. She's just going to criticize you, and that doesn't feel good.
So there's this idea that, vulnerability is the danger in bringing vulnerability is what the response is going to be. And so we're not only telling you, hey, it's important to be vulnerable, but we're also trying to kind of coach the partner along in what a response looks like. To be able to go, oh, wait a minute, my partner just said I'm bringing something painful forward. Hey, pay attention to this. This is important. Chad and I are transparent about kind of the work that we've done. And for a little while, I recognize as a pursuer that I still was kind of giving the vibe to Chad that I was emotionally unsafe for him to bring his pain forward. And I do lean towards, let me solve that problem for you, or let me tell you how to do that. And so we went in and did some work. We had an EFT therapist that did some work with us, and she gave us this analogy that I love to use. I'll just, kind of credit her. She can own it if she wants to. But the idea that if somebody is kind of handing you a little cooler, in that cooler, there could be a 6-pack of a cold beverage, or it could be an organ that's being like donated to a body and running through a hospital. And you don't know unless your partner says, hey, I'm about to hand you a cooler and it's got a heart in it. And that's way more urgent than I'm about to hand you a cooler and it's got a nice cold drink in it. And so sometimes when you want to lead into the heavier stuff, to be able to say to your partner, hey, I have something heavy I want to share with you. That's the alert for the responding partner to say, okay, I appreciate that vulnerable move and I want to take that in. And so that's, I think, what we really want to talk about in the connect point here is that word responsibility. When we say whose responsibility is it to do the repair, whoever can it is. But really for you to start acknowledging your part in the relationship and what you want to be contributing to be able to, similar to the connect point in our first episode, which was just the commitment that says, hey, I want to be a safe partner for you. I want to be somebody who can respond when you bring your pain forward. And I know this might be hard and you're going to have to help me when I'm missing it and vice versa. But can we commit to each other? That's the conversation we want you to have. Can we commit to each other that we're going to try to not only bring some of this deeper stuff forward, but then also be a better responder? Yeah.
That's great. So you guys take some time to do that. Sit down and say, hey, we're going to commit to that. And maybe even just saying, yeah, we're going to let each other in at some level, or at least say this is hard or scary or something. Like it's hard for me to do that would be a good move, even if you can't take the bigger steps. So, man, you guys, thanks for checking us out. Thanks for listening. And we'll get back to you guys on the next episode with what it's like for pursuers and kind of their world around some of these repairs. Thank you.